With the help of the houseplant, Elizabeth leaves her room and shyly enters into the dancing hall of the Hematite Palace from a side door. And she looked nice. And she danced a few dances shyly with young men who came and asked her to dance, but she tried to kind of wallflower. And the whole event was kind of draining to her, and she felt so tired in the midst of all these people and so alone and so out of place. She always felt a hostility from these people, like she knew she didn't belong. So as soon as she could politely do so, she tiptoed along the edge of the party, which was fantastic. There were musicians. Well, all of the musicians were native, but they were mostly young men that had been captured by pirates, sent to far regions of the South Islands and into the north, and then, when they grew up, they would come back home and bring their music with them. And so there were many foreign sounds at this banquet, and there were a lot of foreign dignitaries, because this was a banquet and a dance for the ambassadors. It was also kind of a war conference, but kind of at the tail end of a war conference, saying, just because we're at war doesn't mean life ends. We're still going to celebrate, and we're still alive. And it was kind of a military show off your nice uniforms and dance with the pretty ladies while you have a chance thing. And the dance hall was, the ballroom was just a magnificent place. Hematite is a black mineral that shines like mirrors, and there were like all these candelabras that like reflected off of the walls, and so it looked like an infinite palace of candelabras. The room, you couldn't hardly tell how large it was because of how shiny the black stone was. But she slipped out of all of this, out into the veranda that overlooked the garden, and put her elbows on the railway and looked down into the garden, where there were turtles with candles, little lanterns on their backs that slowly meandered around the garden. It was quite an effect, just a slow, mesmerizing, beautiful effect. And she feels someone walk up to her, but she doesn't see anyone. She thought she seen a shadow, and she's looking straight at it, and it looks like a shadow, but there's no one there to cast a shadow. I've been wanting to meet you. Excuse me. Yeah, this is the second time in one evening that strange voices are coming from nowhere, and she kind of shakes her head and is thinking, am I going crazy? First it's my houseplant, and now it's nothing. Pardon? I'm Irwan. And he bowed low and gave her his hand, and she shook it, and well, anyways, they exchanged pleasantries, and she's like, you know of me? You've wanted to meet me? He's like, yes, I've heard many things of you from many places. What do you know of me? Well, I know here you're called Elizabeth, and that you're a princess. Sort of. Well, I know somewhere else you're called Haley, and you are more than a princess. You verge on being a goddess. No, I don't believe you. You're making up stories. I bet you tell all the princesses that they're goddesses, that they're some exotic fairy tale queen. No, I'm just a lesser princess. And Haley? Where did you come up with that name? I heard it from a source. A source? So you're like a reporter or a spy or something? I do a little of this and a little of that. I like meddling in affairs. I like being on the cutting edge of everything.